WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Alondra Villarreal and Cassie Spazzali. That is a lot of vowels to say. They're back there on the ones and twos. And we're fired up. You're here with us. LSU baseball, rough weekend on the Plains. LSU football was inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday morning. It was an incredible Masters tournament over the weekend. I'll get to that in hour number 2. Derek Carr is hurt. We'll talk about that as well. So lots and lots to do over the next 2 hours to lock us in. Unfortunately, we've got to start on a tragic note today. As you now know, on Saturday, Kairen Lacy passed away in an accident, an incident in Houston, I should say. Look, I wasn't in Thibodaux in December. I wasn't in Houston on Saturday. And I'm not really here to litigate what went on in either instance. I'm not a judge. I'm not a jury. I'm a talk show host. And what I can say about both incidents, the one in Thibodaux in December that Kairen was involved in, and then Saturday, both incidents were tragic because they involved loss of life. And I feel like I've seen a significant amount of people, whether on Twitter or on message boards, wherever, speak with a lot of confidence about what happened and who's feeling what. And I feel like a lot of that's probably misguided. If you don't know, you don't know. What I know is that these are tragic incidents. And what I know is that Kairen Lacy, the day he makes, a game-winning catch against Ole Miss, and in a season he leads the SEC in touchdown receptions, has the entire world in his hands, it feels like. You're a young person, achieved a lot, great college career, and you have an opportunity to realize a professional dream. And we know what happened in December in terms of the events. We know that he was set to stand trial. And now we know he's no longer here. And I'm, again, not here to talk about legal issues. I'm here to speak to a tragic loss of life of a young person who, in the course of 4 months, went from one place to a very, very different place. And I have never met Kairen Lacy. I don't think he came out for midweek player interviews all year. If he did, I don't recall that. But I do have a little bit of a personal connection with Kairen in that his longtime girlfriend is a family friend of my wife's and actually has babysat my kid multiple times. And she is wonderful. And another thing that we know about this situation is that Kairen leaves a lot of people that really cared about him. And that is heartbreaking, that a young person who's surrounded by that type of environment leaves it behind. And I was pretty shocked to hear that news on Sunday morning. And based on the reaction via Twitter from a lot of Kairen's teammates, a lot of folks were. It appears, and again, I use that term very literally, it appears that he was dealing with a lot. And as the police report reads, to get into an altercation with the family member that involves firing a gun at the ground and then speeding off and getting into a chase and ultimately a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the wheel. It's reasonable to connect dots between December and April. I can't do it perfectly. I can't give you every detail, but it's reasonable to connect those dots. And again, I don't know if it was a wrong place, wrong time situation in December. I don't know if there was a significant lapse in judgment. I don't know if there was malicious intent. Like, I don't know anything other than what some of the police report reads. You read what Kairen's attorney had said very, very assertively. You understand that there's a tragic situation on the other side. I'm not here, again, to litigate that. I just know that when you go from where Kairen was before that happened to the situation that we have now, it's a tragic, tragic situation to lose someone that early in life. And so my sincere thoughts and my sincere prayers to all those around Kairen Lacy. Just a tragic, tragic situation over the weekend. I wanted to start with that. I felt like it was the appropriate thing to lead the show with. I don't want to transition to anything else in the middle of this segment. So we're going to take a quick time out. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit of baseball here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
inside the eye of your mind.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, Gulf Coast Office Products bringing you our Monday shows. They do each and every week. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. Find them online, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. All right, let's crank this thing up, talk some baseball. It's our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Bad weekend on the plains of Auburn for LSU for the first time since 1988 when Frank Thomas played first base for Auburn. Auburn has swept LSU in a 3-game set. That's obviously very disappointing. You would put yourself in such a wonderful position at 10-2, get to the halfway point with a load of victories, and you fall flat. I wrote this as my lead in my column for LouisianaSports.net. When you start conference play 10-2, it's kind of like building up an insurance policy. And then LSU filed a claim over the weekend. Like you kind of gave a little bit of that back with the 3-game loss. You're still 10-5, and I'll talk about that briefly. But let's get into the games. This will probably sound like sunshine pumping. I don't know that it's my intent. It's just how I really feel about the situation. LSU got beat all 3 games on the weekend because the offense didn't show up. And I think LSU is a good offensive team. So, I hit the panic button 2 years ago when Chase Shores went down and Garrett Edwards went down, and they did not have anyone out of the bullpen that they could really trust. Nobody. It was just a disaster. And that bullpen let them down against Auburn and let them down against Mississippi State. And I said, this is not like a bad day. This is a huge problem with the team. And they did correct it eventually, and they had guys step up. Guidry stepped up, and Ackenhausen stepped up, and Griffin Herring stepped up. And you had some guys that became quality options out of the bullpen, certainly Riley Cooper in that mix as well. But that was a team that looked like it had a significant flaw. I would not suggest that this LSU offense is a significant flaw. I think it's a strength. I think it was terrible over the weekend. Here are some numbers behind what they did in Auburn. They played 27 innings, obviously. They were held scoreless in 22 of the 27 innings, meaning they only scored in 5 of 27 innings. If you add that to the game on Tuesday when LSU only scored in 1 of their 9 at-bats, you're talking about scoring in 23 of 36, not scoring in 20, scoreless in 30 of 38 innings. Yeah, that's not good. Look, they hit 18 for 96 over the weekend. That is 188. Not good. They were 3 for 27 with runners in scoring position. That's a 111 batting average. They left 26 men stranded on base, and they only had 5 doubles and 1 home run, so 6 extra base hits. They didn't slug. They didn't hit in the clutch. They didn't score any runs. They also got nothing from their right-handed thumpers. Jared Jones was 1 for 13 with 6 strikeouts. He's a star. I'm not worried about Jared Jones going 1 for 13 with 6 strikeouts. Ethan Fry was 0 for 7 with 2 strikeouts. Luis Hernandez, who's your leading home run hitter in SEC play, was 1 for 9 with 4 strikeouts. Jared Jones, Ethan Fry, Luis Hernandez, 1 for 29 with 12 strikeouts. I would potentially understand that if you were facing Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker from Vanderbilt. This is a very garden variety Auburn pitching staff that has 2 SEC journeymen in Sam Dutton and Cade Fisher at the top and then a bunch of freshmen on the back end. And LSU just didn't show up offensively. Far too many pop-ups, far too many strikeouts. I mean, to crystallize the whole thing, you had a spot in the game on Sunday where you loaded the bases and you got at bats from Curiel, Jones, and Dickinson with runners in scoring position. Curiel popped out, Jones struck out on a high fastball, Dickinson struck out on a high fastball. Those are probably your 3 most productive hitters. That's who you want up there with 2 men on in 2 cases and then the bases loaded in the 3rd case. And you weren't able to do anything. I don't think Auburn unlocked some sort of hole in LSU's lineup or did something that LSU was completely unprepared for. I think LSU just flat stunk it up for 3 days. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just stink it up for 3 days. we've seen this with every program. I mean, you go back 2 years ago, LSU was the eventual national champion. LSU was the only team in the SEC that year that didn't get swept. Tennessee ended up in Omaha. They got swept by Missouri. Florida ended up one game from a championship. They got swept by a mediocre Georgia team. It just, sometimes, some weekends you just don't have it. And LSU just didn't have it. Cade Anderson was not great. I don't think he was as bad as his line indicates. I wrote that at LouisianaSports.net. I mean, you look at an outing for Cade Anderson against Auburn, and you go, okay, he went 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 6 runs on 6 hits. He had 6 strikeouts and a walk. And it looks bad, but I don't know that it was that bad because his defense didn't really help him out a lot. You got a hot shot to Tanner Reeves with 1 out and a runner at first base. If he makes that play, which an SEC third baseman needs to make that play, you throw the double play ball and you get out of the inning. Instead, the inning's extended and you give up a 4 spot. Now, I'd like Cade to respond and get the outs, but he didn't. But the defense faltered there. And you can't give teams like Auburn extra swings. I talked about it on Friday. A key to the weekend was going to be LSU defensively. Why? Because Auburn strikes out fewer times than anybody in the SEC. Auburn's going to put the ball in play. You've got to catch it. Well, Reeves didn't field that double play ball. 4 spot ensues. Then you come back with Anthony Ianson on the mound. There's a fly ball into the left center field gap. Derek Curiel doesn't make the play. Tough play. On the move, near the track, near the wall. Doesn't make the play. And then the subsequent at bat, fly ball into the gap in right center field. And I think Josh Pearson makes that play 8 out of 10 times. I'd like to see Chris Stanfield come over and make that play a little more aggressively, but Pearson called it, and he got there, and the ball hit his glove, and he didn't make the catch. And Auburn's able to put up a 2 spot in that inning, where if you make the plays, it'd be tough plays, but they're makeable plays. They don't score in that inning. It was just very much a key to this weekend that LSU defensively did not handle themselves very well. And with your 2 best starters on the mound, you didn't play great defense, and they were able to put up a total of 10 runs on those 2 guys. So your offense wasn't great. Your defense wasn't great. Your ace and your number 2 weren't great. Well, that pretty well creates a recipe, doesn't it? You're not going to have a lot of success if you play like that. And LSU didn't have a lot of success. In fact, they didn't have any success. But I will say this. I thought that LSU's bullpen was excellent over the weekend. That group, outside of Cowan and Evans, has struggled a little bit. And this weekend, 12 2/3 innings, 1 earned run. So I talk about this all the time. Baseball is a journey. It's a 56-game journey where there are ups and downs. You ask questions of your team. You get answers from your team. And while, yeah, it's more important to win games than to try to learn lessons, I feel like LSU got some quality stuff. Cooper Williams came in and I thought did a pretty good job on Friday. Got a big strikeout. Maverick Rizzi got hit, but he minimized damage and he got 2 big strikeouts. I thought that you saw really good work from Connor Ware, Connor Benj, and DJ Primo on Saturday. They combined to throw a total of 3 innings. They only allowed 1 hit and 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. That's important to have those guys step up. And they gave LSU a chance in that game. And then you knew that Chase Shores was going to have a pretty quick hook on Sunday because LSU had Cowan and Evans ready to go. And they were ready to go. Shores walks a guy, hits a guy in the 3rd inning. Jay Johnson goes from doing the headset interview with the play-by-play group, drops the headset, goes straight to the mound, takes him out to go to Cowan. And Cowan held the rope. He did exactly what LSU needed him to do in that spot. 4 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, 50 pitches, but threw up zeros. And then Kairen Evans came in for the last inning and a third and threw up those zeros. But LSU offensively just didn't have it. Just didn't have it. And so here's the deal with the offense. They were not great in Oklahoma other than the second game on Friday of that series. But the conditions were terrible, and you faced a top 15 pick on Thursday. So I get it. I need you to swing the bat better at Nichols than you did. But they got the 5 spot they needed in the 8th inning, and they won the game. And you were bad all weekend against Auburn. So it needs to snap out of it. They need to swing the bat well against McNeese tomorrow, and I'm confident they will. But you've got an Alabama team coming in here that doesn't pitch it very well. The statistics bear that out. They've trotted out Zane Adams on a lot of Fridays. Riley Quick has got immense talent, but hasn't been great. And you need to hit the ball against Alabama. They're 12th in the SEC in ERA. Only Missouri has allowed more hits in the league than Alabama as a pitching staff. They've been dusted in their last 2 game ones. This is your spot to shake out of it, because what's coming after that is a lot. You've got Tennessee coming in with one of the best arms in the league in game 1. They've got a lot of velocity in the bullpen. You've got a really talented Texas A&M staff. You've got a supremely gifted Arkansas team coming in. Like, there are some better teams with better pitching stats in Alabama that are coming in. So for LSU, they need to pick it up starting on Thursday. Offensively. I don't think wholesale changes need to be made. I don't think it's a chance to hit the panic button. I don't think you need to send off sirens and alarms. I think they just stunk this weekend. And most teams in the country are going to go through a little bit of a lull like that. You look around this weekend, Arkansas lost a series. Tennessee was on the ropes of losing a series and got a 2-run home run in the 9th inning to eventually win that series. But Georgia got swept 2 weeks ago. It's around the corner in this league. But the good news for LSU is that you started 10-2, so you gave yourself some cushion. Now you've given some of that a little bit back. Do you have what it takes at this point to rally the troops and to figure it out moving forward? I think they do. I think they're going to be fine. But yeah, going on the road, getting swept, that stinks. Didn't cost you much in the RPI, though. Just backed up, I think, 6 spots. So not a huge deal. I do want to talk about all of that as far as where LSU stands in the conference, what the polls say, what the RPI looks like, where LSU kind of stands in relation to the rest of the league, and what I think they need to do moving forward. So we'll get into that when we come back. That's our Genesis opening drive here on this Monday. Come back with us on Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, Gulf Coast Office Products, all your printing, scanning, copying needs, gcopnet.com, and bring our Monday shows each and every week. I have not done a lot of resume talk for LSU baseball because it's kind of been a little premature. I do think now that you kind of had a jarring weekend, it was like, what does this mean? It may be time to kind of get into that a little bit. Obviously, like I said in the last segment, when you start 10-2, like, you are in such an advantageous spot. You have swept 3 of your first 4 series. You really just need to steer it to the finish line to get everything accomplished that you need to, which means being a top 8 national seed. Well, you gave a little bit back over the weekend because you lose all 3. So now you're 10-5. LSU is tied for 4th in the SEC. Texas is sprinted out to a 13-2 record. That is brilliant. Arkansas is 12-3. That is also very, very good. Tennessee is 11-4, and Georgia and LSU are tied at 10-5. I said entering SEC play that usually 18 is enough to get a top 8. Now, there are very much exceptions to that, but usually that's good enough. 19 you feel great about, and 20 is a lock. That's essentially how this thing usually works out. There are exceptions. And there are variables that we all will always account for and discuss at that time, but that's a reasonable base to go into the discussion with. So if you look at the baseline as 18, with an understanding that you may need to get to 19 and 20 will lock you in, LSU's 10-5. The math is pretty easy there. You're looking at 15 more games to go. If you go 8-7, you get to that baseline. Your RPI will be in good enough shape, I think. The variable that you've got to look at, though, is how many SEC teams are going to get top 8 national seeds. Now, my opinion on this will not be held by the committee. My opinion on this is simple. We don't need to count how many from each conference get what. We just do what is reasonable. We do what the metrics suggest we should do. I don't need to give everybody a chance. No, we all know the SEC is the best league. We all know the SEC dominates Omaha every year. We all know that the 10th best team in the SEC is probably better than most leagues' conference champion. That's just the facts. It's been that way for a decade. So while I reject the notion that they may get to 4 SEC national seeds and go, we can't do another one, I think that is they probably should just go ahead and put the SEC teams at the top. We'll see. That's a variable that we don't have to account for today. We just need to have the discussion big picture. But LSU is 31-6. That's a great record. You've been phenomenal in the out-of-conference. You've only lost 2 games in the non-conference. You only lost 1 game in the non-conference. So it's a resume that I think with 18 SEC wins would look pretty strong. Now, you have to factor in what Georgia and Tennessee and Arkansas and Texas do, and then behind you, there's Auburn and Ole Miss at 9-6. You obviously got swept by Auburn. You do not play Ole Miss this year. So you look at the RPI and you look at the metrics from that perspective. LSU dipped to number 9 in the RPI after being swept. You have a non-conference that featured a lot of Q4 games. LSU is 17-1 in Q4. Now, Arkansas has already played 18 Q4 games as well. Georgia has played 15 Q4 games as well. Like, Texas hasn't. They've only got 10, and I think there's a chance right now that they would be the number 1 overall seed if you released a bracket today. And we'll see what the guys at D1 Baseball and Baseball America do. But right now, LSU, as far as the RPI goes, is in 7th among SEC teams. Arkansas is 1, Georgia is 2, Texas is 3, Tennessee is 4, Auburn is 5. The entirety of the top 5 in the RPI is SEC teams. You got Clemson at 6, Vanderbilt at 7. That's an SEC team, obviously. Coastal Carolina at 8, and LSU at 9. Alabama comes in at number 11, and Ole Miss is 12. So 9 of the top 12 RPIs in the country come from the SEC. This is going to be a discussion point as we move forward where you stand within the conference. And now, as Mark Etheridge from D1 Baseball has talked about a little bit as they ramp up their discussion about the field of 64, he said for the first time ever, you're going to have to look at conference strength of schedule because the conferences have gotten so big that not everyone plays everyone. So one SEC team's 17-13 might not look like another SEC team's 17-13. You truly have to get beyond just the conference standing because not all records are created equal. So, LSU is going to play a series against Arkansas, is going to play a series against Tennessee. Those are coming up. Those are 1 and 4 in the RPI currently. You've already played Texas, that's 3. You've already played Auburn, that's 5. Like, you're going to play Alabama this weekend, that's 11. You're going to have a lot of series against marquee opponents moving forward, which is why I think 18 looks okay. But again, you may need to nudge it to 19, and you understand what happens if you get to 20. Here's another discussion point that I think we have to bring up, and I talked about it when we did our SEC Power Rankings last week, but it is even more material right now because South Carolina is awful. They're awful. And LSU finishes the season in Columbia against the Gamecocks. Now, it is a road series, but we know what this day and age is like. And if you're looking at a South Carolina team that right now, South Carolina in the league is 2-13. If South Carolina, with 3 games to play, meaning they'd have 27 games, is 5-22 in league play, don't you think there may be some guys in scarlet and black that are looking at this, garnet and black, that are going, I'm probably getting a transfer portal. Like, this wasn't that great. New coaches here. I think that like you could see a lack of focus from South Carolina, and certainly a sleepy crowd if they're 5-22. And that weekend, LSU will be a significant favorite to at least get 2 games. If you didn't see South Carolina this weekend, they had a 9-run lead in the 7th inning. That was trimmed to a 5-run lead in the 9th inning in College Station. And Texas A&M hit 2 grand slams in the 9th inning to walk off South Carolina and sweep them. 2 grand slams in 1 inning. So the math, as we always talk about the math, when you look at LSU's schedule, yes, there is a gauntlet coming up right now. It is Alabama, who's leaking a little bit of oil but is talented. It's a really good Tennessee team at the box. It's a trip to College Station to play a Texas A&M team that all of a sudden has won 5 games in a row in league play. They swept a doubleheader with Tennessee and then swept South Carolina. They may be playing with a little bit more confidence. They may have figured some things out. And then you got Arkansas, who's excellent at the box. And then you go to South Carolina. LSU, again, is a favorite to win at least 2 games in Columbia, and that changes your discussion on how many you've got to win against these really good teams moving forward. I think LSU is in a good spot. I wrote this on my column for LouisianaSports.net. If you would have told me in January, okay, they're going to start with 1 pre-conference loss and they're going to go 10-5 through 15 games. Do you want to let them play or do you want to take that? I would have taken it 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, I think that you had some very winnable series. I don't think that Mississippi State is very good. I don't think that Missouri is very good, but you took care of your business. And so 10-5 is a really solid spot to be in. I don't think Texas is going anywhere. They can just about sleepwalk to the finish line and get a top 8 national seed. Texas probably only needs to go, if I look at it, probably only needs to go 6-9 the rest of the way to get a top 8. So they're going to get one. Arkansas, I think, is that good. They're 12-3. They're going to get one. And then you got Tennessee and Georgia that you're in the mix with. And I'm not sold on Georgia's arms, so we'll see what happens with them from a resume perspective. But I think LSU's in a really good spot, and right now I think they're a very, very, very likely top 16, and I think have a really good shot at getting a top 8. And that's really all we're here for. You've got to continue to play better. They got to swing the bats better. I'd like Chase Shores to throw the ball a little bit better. But your bullpen's stepping up a little bit. Your defense has been good all year, even though it wasn't over the weekend. I know it was a jarring weekend. I know losing 3 games is not a lot of fun. I know that LSU didn't really show up. I mean, they scored 1 run in the first 7 innings of the 3 games total. But all things considered, if you just take the entirety of the body of work and don't just react to what you saw over the weekend, the entirety of the body of the work puts LSU in a really good spot right now. They just got to keep playing good baseball. They'll take on McNeese on Tuesday and then another Thursday, Friday, Saturday weekend coming up against the Alabama Crimson Tide, who have struggled to pitch the ball, to put it nicely, over the last couple of weeks. So big week coming up for LSU baseball. If you can get 2 this weekend, get to 12-6 in league play, you're in a really good spot as you move into to late April. So that's our baseball look for today. We still got a ton to do here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Remind you, every Monday we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, no matter what industry you work in, whether it's healthcare, whether it's law, whether it's marketing, no matter what you do, Gulf Coast Office Products has clients in your vertical market, and they know the needs, the demands of your industry when it comes to printers, scanners, copiers. They've got the latest in equipment, and they've got the expertise. If you may not know what you need, they do. So give them a call over at Gulf Coast Office Products or go online to gcopnet.com. Contact our guy Trey Beal. He's got an incredible team of awesome employees. And no matter if Trey's your rep or someone else over there at Gulf Coast, you'll have a wonderful relationship with them. And they've got the materials and the resources to help you with your needs anywhere in the state of Louisiana. It's Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com. All right, when we come back, let's talk some football. I was out at Tiger Stadium on Saturday, saw a lot to look at, so we'll dive into a significant amount of what LSU got accomplished on Saturday with some overall themes of the spring thus far. That's next on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every single new Genesis purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Every single new Genesis purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. It's all part of the experience of being a Genesis driver. When I speak with the folks over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge, they understand that most of my listener base has not gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis. Most of them have not ridden in a Genesis. It's new to the game. Change that. Go by and see them. Just put it on your list and try it. You'll see how phenomenal an experience driving a Genesis is. Whether you're in the market for a sedan all the way up to the SUV, they've got a model that can fit your needs. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Auctioneer, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Closing up hour number 1 here, Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show. They opened the gates at Tiger Stadium about 9:30 on Saturday morning, let us in, headed on up to the press box, and they cranked things up a little bit before 10:30 for the scrimmage. And it was a lot of live action. I was curious, like, what they were going to do for a practice. Y'all know my feelings. Like, I've been to a lot of LSU football practices over the years, and they're not super interesting. A lot of drills, a lot of footwork, a lot of sled popping, a lot of bag popping, a lot of cones. Like, you know, and if you bring 5,000 people or however many people were there watching, and they do a lot of that, like, that's just not very interesting. It's also not super interesting to watch non-tackle periods, especially like when they do running plays and like everybody just like lines up and blocks, and then the linebacker kind of touches the running back. Like, it's just, that's not super compelling. But they did do some thuds, and they did do some tackling to the ground. There was, I thought, enough to chew on if you're just a fan that's there and wants to see a little bit of football. Big time shout out to LSU Sports Information for getting some breakfast sandwiches up to the press box. That was very much appreciated. I had 2 of them. Also knocked down a couple of cold Coca-Colas as well. So I enjoyed my time up there in the press box. I may have been watching the Masters for a little bit of practice. That happens. But I did pay attention. I did take some notes. I was sitting next to Matt Moscona, and he wrote the practice report up on LouisianaSports.net. I'll tell you this. My biggest takeaway from the spring, and then to boil it down to the actual work on the field on Saturday, is this singularly. LSU's defensive ends are playing great. Now, as is always the case with inter-squad stuff, like, maybe it's an indictment on LSU's tackles. That could be. It could be either thing. But LSU's ends were a terror on Saturday. Jack Pyburn was great. I thought Gabe Relaford had an awesome day. You saw some Jamari Butler get back there for a sack. I saw Patrick Payton get back into the backfield as well. Like, those guys were wrecking shop versus the 1s and the 2s in the scrimmage action. And I have questions about LSU at tackle. I do. Like, we saw Weston Davis out there. We saw Tyree Adams out there. And I'll talk about the offensive line here in a minute. But I want to start with the ends because I think they played great. And I think there's reason to believe they're going to play great in the fall. You saw Jack Pyburn be a really, really good player against the run last year for Florida. You saw Patrick Payton put up a really productive career at Florida State. Jamari Butler has played a ton of football at Nebraska. Gabe Relaford was, by some, the best player in the state of Louisiana a couple of years ago. And he's moving into his second year where you feel like you're going to have a big jump. And so, while, yes, I can acknowledge that LSU's offensive line is a work in progress, I can also look at the defensive end position and go, they really have something here. Because not only were they super productive on Saturday, like, it's deep, it's talented, and it's versatile. Like, I don't know how well Patrick Payton plays the run, but I know how well Jack Pyburn plays the run. And if you're facing a team that's really getting downhill on you, Pyburn can help with that. I don't know how well Pyburn's going to rush the passer. My distinct feeling is that with the coaching that Kevin Peoples is giving him and the work that he's putting in, that he's going to be better and more productive as a pass rusher at LSU than he was at Florida, where he only had 1 sack. But I know Patrick Payton can rush the passer. And I feel like Jamari Butler gives you a big physical presence. I feel like Gabe Relaford has high-end potential. I was really, really impressed with what LSU did on the edges on Saturday. They were constantly back there. And the quarterbacks have no contact jerseys on, so they're not bringing them to the ground. And there was at least one instance where Jack Pyburn thought he got a sack. Garrett Nussmeier did not think there was a sack. He thought he would have avoided it, but he did get touched. And so, like, you've got some of that going on. But you could see that LSU did a really good job as far as playing on the edges on Saturday. That was the biggest takeaway for me. Let's flip that conversation to the offensive line. We saw a lot of different combinations, and I wrote about this on LouisianaSports.net back on Saturday if you want to go check that out, because it has some quotes from Brian Kelly. And I think that what Brian Kelly said was interesting. It's about their approach. Like, they were not trying to get their starting 5 settled in April. Like, that was not the goal when they started spring ball. They wanted to develop guys. They wanted to get a look at how different guys played, and you're seeing a ton of movement up front. DJ Chester was the center to begin the scrimmage. Braylon Moore absolutely circled in and played for him. Josh Thompson did play some right tackle. He also went down and played left guard. Those two guys, and DJ Chester playing center and guard, like, those two guys are rotating positions. Then you've got Bo Bordelon playing a little bit, Cohen Eccles playing a little bit. You've got Paul Mabinga playing some guard. Like, they're showing a lot of different looks, and rarely do you go out there and see an extended period of time where you've just got 5 offensive linemen out there and they're the top 5. So I feel comfortable saying that Tyree Adams is the heavy favorite to be the left tackle. I would suggest the other 4 positions are very much still up in the air. And Brian Kelly talked about it after the scrimmage and said, look, we want to spend the first 8 or 9 practices in camp looking at who could be the best. And at that point, which you would imagine will be somewhere in the neighborhood of August 11th or 12th, you'll have 2 to 3 weeks to get ready for Clemson, and they'll go with a starting 5 for the last 3 weeks of camp. Like, that's the timeline they're operating on. So, as he said, if our goal this spring was to find a starting offensive line, like, we're not even close to that. But that was never the goal. They just wanted to look. And so Thompson's only been here for 2.5 weeks, and so he's playing multiple positions, and I think they'll use his versatility and kind of find the spot that he fits best based on how the other guys perform. But you're looking at a lot of different combinations on the offensive line. I'll say this, and I included this in my story as well. Listen to what I'm saying, and don't misinterpret it. I'm saying that LSU's running game is going to look a lot different in 2025. I did not say LSU's running game is going to be way improved in 2025. Those are different things. I sent out a tweet with my story that said LSU's going to look a lot different in the running game this year. And I was like, oh, yeah, you think they're going to be great? That's what we were told last year. You think they're going to run the ball? Like, I didn't say that. I didn't say they're going to be awesome at running the ball. I didn't say they were going to dominate people up front. I said it's going to look different. How's it going to look different? Well, we've seen it. And Brian Kelly told us on Saturday, like, there's a reason they did some of the running stuff after the media was told they had to put their cameras away. It's because they don't want it on YouTube. But there's a lot more creativity. They've got Xavion Thomas playing in the backfield as a running back at times. There was one set where they had Aaron Anderson and Xavion Thomas back there. You're seeing creative ball handling and footwork by Garrett Nussmeier. You're seeing a lot of misdirection. You're seeing a lot of guards pulling. They're doing a lot more than just simple gap scheme running. When you've got Jaden Daniels, you can pretty much just rely on the read option and a talented ball carrier at running back, a talented ball carrier at quarterback, just figuring it out based on how the offensive line is able to maneuver people. When you don't have Jaden Daniels and you have Garrett Nussmeier back there, you've got to have a plan and stick to it and get it executed. And Brian Kelly said they're doing gap scheme. They're doing a lot of pulling. They're running duo. They've got Xavion Thomas back there for creativity. They've got Harlem Berry into the equation. And Brian Kelly was asked about him. I thought his quotes about Harlem Berry were great. He was like, he's just a natural runner. You can't teach what Harlem Berry has. He just gets the ball and he has a feel for how to handle himself. And that's a guy that is going to be very much a part of the mix in 2025. Caleb Jackson got a ton of carries on Saturday because Caden Durham sprained his ankle. He was in a walking boot. Brian Kelly said it's no concern of theirs for the fall. No reason to rush it. It's precautionary. You just hold him out. But that allowed Caleb Jackson to get a lot of carries. And so I'm still holding out hope that he can kind of have a resurgence here in his junior season. But you can see there's a significant amount of creativity in the running game, and that's an exciting thing. Last thing on LSU for Saturday, this is just a big picture thing that doesn't really have a specific example, just a feeling from watching the game. If you just watched LSU in the 11-on-11 portions, the defense really played well. They broke up some passes. They got after the passer. They did a pretty good job of stopping the run when it was live. I thought the defense played well. And you hope in year 2 of Blake Baker that defense takes a big step. You don't have Harold Perkins out there right now. You don't have Whit Weeks out there right now. So you're still missing 2 of your most impactful players. But I thought that LSU looked pretty good in the secondary. I thought they looked pretty good at the point of attack. I'm a little concerned about defensive tackle. We'll see how that goes. But, again, this is not a specific instance where I give you this play, and chart it. It's just a feeling of, okay, I'm watching practice. They're doing some red zone stuff. Yeah, defense looks really good. And that jogged my memory about one more thing that I'll leave you with. Red zone stuff. Juwan Johnson was awesome in the red zone. They line him up at quarterback. They get into the read option situations, and he was keeping it more often than not, and he was tough to tackle, plunging in from the 5-yard line and the 3-yard line. There's absolutely going to be a package for Juwan Johnson this year where he plays quarterback, and Brian Kelly said on Saturday, if you sell out 11 guys to stop the run when Juwan Johnson is at quarterback, he can throw it and hurt you. And so I think that's a good thing that LSU is going to add to the equation down in the red zone. LSU was not good at running the ball in the red zone this year. That means they were not a good red zone offense. This is a wrinkle you're going to see from LSU in the red zone. They're going to put Juwan Johnson in there. He's going to run the read option. You can call it the Wildcat if you want, but he can also throw the ball a little bit, and so you're going to see that, and I thought it was very successful on Saturday. He scored probably 4 touchdowns in the red zone portion of the practice, and it looked good. He looked very comfortable handling it. So I said back when they moved him, I didn't like it because I don't need to waste a defensive asset on third-string quarterback, which isn't going to help a team. But the one thing that changes that assertion on my part is if you've got a designed package for him that is going to essentially makes him a starter. He's the starter at red zone package quarterback. And that's okay. And it looked really good on Saturday. So lots of football content over at LouisianaSports.net. Matt's got a practice report up. I've got a offensive line story. I'll also get to a story coming up later today, I think, about Harlem Berry. So get into some of that as we move forward today. That's it for hour number 1 here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. If you missed anything in the first hour, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. You can search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, and review. We've got a ton to do in hour number 2. Derek Carr is hurt. What does that mean for the future of the New Orleans Saints? And the Masters was pretty awesome yesterday, and I want to talk about it. So we will do that in the first segment of hour number 2. Come back after Sports Center. Hope your work week's off to a good start. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, phenomenal folks to work with. If you're a business owner and all you know about your insurance is that it's expensive, that's part of the deal, but it's not the most important thing. Most important thing is making sure that your coverage is properly laid out. And that's what they're going to do for you at the Highland Insurance Group. Do you know what EPL insurance does? Do you know if you need it? Do you know what cyber insurance responds to? Do you know what co-insurance is? Could there be penalties that affect your payout in a property damage claim? All these things are important. If you don't quite understand it, let the Highland Insurance Group help you. You should trust your insurance broker. You can trust Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're based right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. No matter what industry you're in, they can help you out with your commercial insurance. It's the Highland Insurance Group. You can find them out online. HighlandIG.com. It's HighlandIG.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lacy. One and done for Mike Budenholzer in Phoenix. The Suns fired their coach after one season where they missed the NBA playoffs and play-in tournament with the largest payroll in NBA history. Third straight offseason, owner Matt Ishbia is making a coaching change. Sources said Budenholzer had issues connecting with the locker room this season. Pelicans fired Executive Vice President David Griffin. One of New Orleans' main issues in his 6-year tenure, the health of former #1 overall pick Zion Williamson, says First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
He's been a huge disappointment because of his lack of availability. That's the bottom line. And even when he's been on the court, he's had such a debilitating impact on the franchise because he's not consistently available that it's just squashed any kind of hopes that they had.
The oft-injured Zion's played in just 45% of his possible games with the Pelicans. WNBA welcomes its rookie class tonight with the annual draft, 7 Eastern, ESPN+. Paige Becker set to be drafted first overall by Dallas. Yankee slugger Aaron Judge named captain for Team USA for the 2026 World Baseball Classic.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, Cam Ward, Shador, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe. I'll tell you how many quarterbacks will go in the first round when I release my mock draft at 6:30 Eastern. It's unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour to Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Talk some Derek Carr coming up in the next segment. Big news over the weekend that Derek Carr is out, well, probably out for the season. So we'll discuss what that means for New Orleans here coming up. I'll just be real direct. Yesterday was the greatest golf tournament I've ever watched. Ever. Tiger winning the Masters in 2019 was amazing. I would certainly put the duel that Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson had when they just left the field in the dust at the Open Championship. When Stenson won it, that was a phenomenal one-on-one matchup. And we've seen brilliant things. Tiger at Pebble running away from the field. Tiger completing the Tiger Slam at Augusta. We've seen some great stuff, but I can't think of a better, more dramatic golf tournament. It had everything yesterday at Augusta. Everything. You had a generational player on the cusp of the career Grand Slam that he had been chasing for a decade. You had another top 5 player in the world. The rankings won't say it, but I'll say it. Bryson DeChambeau is a top 5 player in the world in his group. You had a legendary round from Justin Rose to vault into the lead. You had atrocious golf shots. You had brilliant golf shots. You had choking. You had a playoff. You had drama. You had emotion. You had the crowd. It had every single ounce of the recipe that you need to produce a thriller. And it was absolutely gripping from start to finish yesterday. I mean, Rory starts the day with a double. And then he doesn't birdie 2 because he drives it in the bunker. Bryson birdies 2. The lead's gone. Like that. And you're thinking, I mean, Rory has been playing with this massive weight on his shoulders for 10 years. Because you come flying out of the gates and win 4 major championships before your 25th birthday. And everyone says, okay, this is the guy that's going to complete the career Grand Slam. He's going to be the greatest, maybe European major champion ever. And he can't get it done. He had the heartbreak in 2011 where he made the turn with a 4-shot lead and ended up shooting 80, snap hooked it on 10 into the cabins, snap hooked it again on 13 into the Whit Creek, and he's had some close calls at Augusta. He's finished second, made some late runs, but he's never been able to get it done. And then he couldn't get it done in any major championships. And you've got heartbreak as Cam Smith runs him down at St. Andrews. And then last year at Pinehurst, where he missed 2 putts shorter than any putts he had missed in the entire PGA Tour season to allow Bryson to come back and beat him. And that scar tissue and that heartbreak and everybody consistently telling him every single year when he got to Augusta, hey, when are you going to get the Grand Slam? Hey, when are you going to get the Grand Slam? Hey, when are you going to get the Grand Slam? And then on top of that, you've got Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson picking him to win. You've got everyone saying that this is the year he's going to do it. And you got to go out there and play with that. And then he gags on himself on Thursday and makes 2 late doubles, including one just indefensible shot from the back of 15. But he comes back with a 66 and he puts himself in position and he's got that 2-shot lead. And then boom, he makes double in the first hole. But in typical Rory fashion, he hits a ridiculously great shot on 4, closes with a strong finish on 9. Bryson's falling apart. He snap hooks it in the water on 11. I know that shot very well. But Rory, you felt like once Rory played 12 and he got behind that hole that has bitten so many over the years, Francesco Molinari, Jordan Spieth, it's bitten, guys. And he got by 12. So now he gets to play 13, which is a birdie hole. And he decides to lay up, which was questionable because at 230 iron shot for him is not out of the question. But okay, it's fine to lay up. He gave himself 98 yards. And I am not being hyperbolic, and I'm not even really talking about my golf game. from 98 yards in the middle of that fairway with 25 yards of green left of that pin, all of which funnels to the pin. Your neighborhood 5 handicap is going to hit that shot properly 19 out of 20 times and just fly it up onto the green left. Like a 5 handicap. Rory's one of the greatest players the game's ever seen. That wedge shot is the worst shot he has hit in his entire life. I could not believe my eyes watching a guy that seemed to be in that much control to have such an easy shot. And I know it's the Masters, and I know there's a lot of pressure, and I know those of you that are driving around listening going, this guy's an idiot. You know how much pressure it is trying to play with the Masters? You just laid out all that, and I get it. That's an easy shot. It's a 60-degree wedge up to a huge target, all of which funnels back down to the hole. You hit it up there. If you make the putt for birdie, great. If you don't, you tap in for par and move on. To miss right of that hole is almost impossible for a guy that good. I could not believe my eyes. And then he comes back and hits those brilliant shots in response to that. I mean, the shot he hit on 17 was just amazing. Big, high draw right below the hole, 2 feet. And then the hard shot on 18 for Rory is the drive because it's narrow and Rory likes to turn it over with a draw and it really calls for a cut. And I mean, he pumps it with a 1-shot lead right down Broadway. And he's got a gap wedge and he can't hit it on the green. A gap wedge. Leaves it in the right trap. And then he gives himself 4 feet. And you just got to think that putt's going to go in. And he missed it. Came up out of it. Yippee stroke. Same thing at Pinehurst. I just can't. His caddy, who's his childhood buddy, Harry, said, it's kind of the same thing I said with LSU baseball earlier today. He said, look, we walked off the green, you would have given your arm on Monday to be in a playoff. And he would have. But you feel like you gave it away. Because you had a wedge in your hand on 18 and couldn't put it on the green. And then you had 4 feet to finish it and couldn't do it. And all the while, there's Justin Rose. Put this in perspective. Justin Rose made 10 birdies yesterday. Rory McIlroy's finishing score after 72 holes was 11 under par to win the Masters. And Rose made 10 birdies yesterday on a fiery Augusta golf course. That place was baked. It was crispy. And Justin Rose was phenomenal. And with all the scar tissue that Rory's playing with and with the amount of firepower that Justin Rose was displaying, it felt like Rose was going to win that playoff. And Rose takes the honor and he hits it right down the chute. And Rory responds with another brilliant drive. He was 2 yards closer in the playoff than he was on 18. And Rose puts the pressure on Rory, puts it on the green, gives himself a makeable putt, and Rory comes up with a shot of his life. So often in sports, you only get that one chance to make a play. You get one at bat. You get one shot from the three-point line. You get one chance to go make a catch or make a sack. You get one chance. And if you miss that opportunity, you think about it forever. Rory had his chance on the 72nd hole, and he didn't come through. And then he got to hit the same shot a second time. And he came through and hit the perfect shot. Knocked it in there 2 feet. How many times do you, the recreational golfer, slice one out of bounds, then re-tee and pump it right down the middle? You have a wedge in the middle of the fairway. You lay the sod over it. It's a terrible shot. You drop one that doesn't count. You knock it up there to 8 feet. Like, the second time you get to hit the shot, you feel like the pressure's off. That's not apples to apples because this one actually does count as in a playoff, but he got another chance to make the swing, and he delivered. And to me, the Masters, Rory deserved to win the Masters. Like, I feel like he should be at the Champions Dinner. I feel like he should have a green jacket. I feel like he should be a Masters champion. The best players in the history of the sport, sans Greg Norman, who I now despise, have all won the Masters. All of them. Like, there just aren't the greats in the history of golf have won at Augusta. Now, you've still got your Trevor Immelmans and Mike Weirs that have won too, but the greats and the titans of the game have won at Augusta. And Rory hadn't. And now he has. And you can put Brooks Koepka in that because of the major championship sets that he's had. But Brooks has not played with this burden for a decade the way that Rory has. And you have to think that this is Rory's life's work. Like he has completed what he felt he needed to do in the game of golf. And he does so at the age of 35. I think he would have had a hard time truly compartmentalizing his career if he never won the Masters. And that's the pressure that he had to play with. And it showed because he hit some just awful shots. Awful shots. But he hit some great ones. That 7-iron into 15 was just breathtaking. And then he missed the putt. But Rory, this is the most consequential victory in the world of golf since Tiger Woods in the early 2000s. It's been about 20 years since a win meant this much in golf. And it was thrilling to watch all of that on Sunday. At the greatest scene in golf, with the most famous player in golf, trying to join the most exclusive club in golf, it was all just incredible. And one of the things that happened yesterday that I could not have forecasted, my wife, who does not care about sports at all, was just locked in. Absolutely locked in. She sent me texts. She was rewatching it earlier today. We DVR'd it at home. And she said, when he won, it's awesome. I have tears. And he hugs his daughter. I love golf now. Oh my God, this is so emotional. Oh my God, when he sees Lowry, that's so sweet. My wife has not watched a round of golf in her entire life. And she was completely locked in on Augusta yesterday. That was, quite simply, as I said to lead things off, the greatest golf tournament I've ever watched yesterday. Bar none. And I don't know what the Masters can do for an encore moving forward, but with Tiger in 19, you kind of had to wait 6 years for another great one. You got it. And if we have to wait another 6 years, I'll make it through. But having that one in the back pocket, that's one that I will remember forever. It was that good at Augusta. All right, let's take a time out. Come back, talk some Derek Carr. What do the Saints do now? It's Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you want to do the whole deal, the whole bathroom renovation, soup to nuts, David Duvall, One Bath and Closets can handle it. They can do it. And for some, that may sound daunting. It may sound really time-consuming, invasive to your home, may sound not very cost-effective. Like, all that can be true. Like, if you're talking about a huge renovation, that's going to be a big investment, both time and money. But you don't have to do something at that scale. How about just a simple tub-to-shower conversion? If you don't use your bathtub, you don't like the way the tub looks, it's not functional, get rid of it. Put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. Changes the aesthetic of your home, changes the functionality of your bathroom, and it adds some value to your home. It's One Bath and Closets. Start with that free consultation with David Duvall and his team. There are financing options available. It's One Bath and Closets. You can check them out online, OneBathAndClosets.com.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
I'm supposed to know who sings that song. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Great job.
It took a
I'm
second.
actually proud.
Took a second. Can't tell you what
Because
it's called.
I can't let you live down the fact that you thought Vertical Horizon was Matchbox 20. Like, I really can't.
I love those two bands. I had the CDs, the Matchbox 20 one with the guy with the pilot hat on, and then Vertical Horizon. I had that. I listened to those CDs a lot.
Yeah.
But they're very similar. They sound similar.
They sound similar. I'll give you that. But
Chili
I just
Peppers.
can't. Yeah.
I know they got Californication.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they got one that's like surfing or waving or something. I don't know. Whatever.
It's not this.
All right, let's talk some Saints. So Friday afternoon, Ian Rappaport breaks the news. Derek Carr is now dealing with a shoulder injury that threatens his availability for this season. Carr is weighing options, including the possibility of surgery. For the purposes of this segment, I'm going to proceed as if Derek Carr is unavailable to play at all in 2025. That's, I think, a reasonable conclusion to draw. I wouldn't suggest it's concrete. I don't think that's been officially reported, but let's just proceed as if that's the case. Here's my take on it. I think it can be a positive for the organization. It's certainly a negative for the 2025 season. Makes the Saints a worse team right now. But my feeling on the Saints has been the same for a good while now. And that is that this season is not going to be a championship level season. Vegas thinks that. Analysts think that. I think that. It's a pretty commonly held belief. But we don't think the Saints believe that. We think the Saints believe we were awesome for 2 games last year. Then we got hurt. Well, we're not going to be as hurt this year. We've got a new coaching staff. We're going to add some players in the draft. We've added a little bit in free agency. We're going to be a competitive team. We can win this division. And they probably still think that today, quite frankly, because they're probably just wired that way. They probably just believe blindly that they can get it done. Just give me a few more pieces. I once very candidly asked Jeremy Hill, who played on a couple of bad Bengals teams, does everybody think they're going to win the Super Bowl in August? And he said yes. Yes, they do. And that, based on what we hear in press conferences and the actions the Saints take, they kind of feel that way too. But the Saints aren't going to win the Super Bowl this year. And if this injury in any way alters the approach to the rest of this offseason by forcing the Saints to be a little bit less aggressive, then it is a positive. Now, if they do something rash to overpay or to hemorrhage assets to go get a quarterback, that could be a disaster. But if they take the approach of, okay, we don't have Derek Carr, we do have Spencer Rattler, we do have Jake Haener, there are veteran quarterbacks available like Teddy Bridgewater that we can sign, and we need to take the mindset that, well, we are hurt. We saw what happened last year when we get hurt. It's not very good. Let's work on the foundation of the franchise as opposed to trying to fill that one missing piece that we seem to think there exists when in reality it doesn't. Let's ramp this thing down. Let's let Spencer Rattler play a year. Let's let Teddy Bridgewater be the starting quarterback, and let's focus on getting a lot of good young players in this draft. Let's trade back and get more draft picks because the season's already compromised with no starting quarterback. Like, if there's a chance that could be the result of this injury and Derek Carr's time as a New Orleans Saint coming to an end, then it will be a positive. I feel bad for Derek Carr. I think he's a good dude. I think he's said a lot of the right things. I think he's played tough. I wish he was in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. There are a couple things I'd like to change, but you don't want a guy to get hurt. But if we're just talking about football here and we're taking the personal part out of this, if this allows the Saints to truly look at this as a reset, and then potentially, if we're going to further this discussion down the road, potentially if the Saints just bottom out this year and pick first or second in the next draft where there should be some talented quarterbacks available, this may end up being part of the restart of the organization. I'm being ambitious, I know. I'm probably painting this a little bit rosier than I should. But I don't think I'm being unreasonable. I think it's reasonable to suggest that the Saints could look at the situation, understand that 2025 is probably not the priority, that the future of the franchise is the priority, draft that way, make a cheap free agent quarterback signing that way. Season may not go great. You don't hold that completely against Kellen Moore. You hope that some young guys come through and develop a little bit, and you feel like you've got some guys that can fill some holes at an affordable price. Then you draft your quarterback of the future. Then you get moving. That's not unreasonable to suggest it could happen. Now, it's also not unreasonable to suggest that Miggy Loomis feels like his phone's on fire and he's got to call somebody and he's got to trade draft picks to get up and get another quarterback, and things could go badly in that instance. But I'm choosing to believe the other way. I'm choosing to believe that they'll be patient, that they'll shift their course, that they'll understand that the actual roster is in a bad spot that's been worsened by the injury of your starting quarterback. It's okay to have a bad season. I tell y'all this all the time. I'm not in the foxhole with you as a Saints fan. I prefer they win. My blood pressure does not raise. When LSU plays on Saturday night, I remember looking at somebody in the press box during the Ole Miss game this past year going, I can't feel my legs. That's my emotional response to LSU playing football. I don't have that emotional response on Sundays. So sometimes when I try to analyze the Saints, I try to play off of my Cubs fandom, which I do get emotionally invested deeply in the Cubs. And the Cubs had to go through a rebuild. They had to trade the best players from their championship core. They had to trade Anthony Rizzo and trade Chris Bryant, trade Javi Baez, and trade they had to trade a number of the guys that helped them get where they needed to be. They had to let Wilson Contreras walk and let John Lester walk, and that hurt. But the Cubs got there to the championship by hitting on first-round picks and making the appropriate free agent signing when the time came with John Lester. And for the Saints, you can get it turned around quickly if you do things the right way. And that means taking draft picks and not being overzealous in free agent and further hamstringing yourself from a salary cap perspective. And you can get it turned around in 2 or 3 years. You've already had 1 year. This is year 2. I feel like it's reasonable if they'll just do things the right way. And there's a chance that Derek Carr going down expedites this process, or at least the Saints' realization that that's the process that they're in. It does make this coming fall less exciting. That stinks. But if you were of the mindset that this fall was probably going to stink anyway, what'd you lose? Nothing. And you might gain something in the process with a shift in the organization. So I don't know what the Saints are going to do at quarterback. I don't know when they found this news out and what it means for their draft strategy. Maybe that is why they were going and looking at as many quarterbacks as they have. But I can be hopeful that a shift is coming with the New Orleans Saints and that Derek Carr's injury has been a catalyst in getting there a little bit more quickly. Those are my thoughts on the black and gold. If you're looking for Saints content, you can always find it at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Also, wherever you find your podcast, Hunt on Saints. All Saints all year round. Take a time out. Got 30 minutes left on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
I feel stupid, but I know it won't last long. And I've been guessing, and I could have been guessing wrong.
Matchbox 20. Nailed it. Rob Thomas, is that his name?
Yeah.
I got all the answers, Alondra.
I'm very impressed.
You should be. Let's talk some LSU baseball. Not a good outing for Chase Shores on Sunday, and that's just kind of been the theme of his SEC stretch here. Better in frigid conditions in Norman 2 weeks ago, but not great on Sunday. Chase Shores was never going to get a long leash on Sunday because LSU had Zach Cowan and Kairen Evans fully rested and ready to go. They hadn't used them in 2 losses on Friday and Saturday, so you were going to get to them very, very quickly. It was going to really be at the first sign of trouble, and you weren't going to let the game kind of get out of hand without going to the strongest part of your team, which is now Zach Cowan and Kairen Evans at the back end of bullpen. So Shores is pulled after 2 innings. He gives up 3 hits and 3 runs. They're all earned. He walked 2, struck out 2. He also hit a batter. In 18 2/3 innings of work for Shores, he's walked in the SEC play. 18 2/3 innings, 13 walks, and 3 hit batters. So that's 16 free bases in 18 2/3. That's nearly a free base every inning. And then you add to that SEC hitters are hitting 297 off of him. And it's just a bit of a problem. And when you watch Shores pitch, like, he's got a 97-mile-an-hour fastball that's got some sink. He spins the slider okay. It's not an elite pitch, but when you got 97 coming the other way, it's a good enough pitch. He just doesn't miss enough bats. The strikeout numbers are low, walk numbers are up, and it just feels like it's ambitious to assume he's really going to emerge as a force for LSU. It's not impossible. Ty Floyd did it, but Shores just hasn't shown that. And I'm not asking for a Sunday starter, a third starter, to go out there and give me 7 one-run innings with 11 strikeouts. Like that, nobody has that. But you're talking about 18 2/3 innings. We'll call it, for the sake of math, 19 innings in 5 SEC outings. That's less than 4 in an outing. There's just no length there. There's no dominance there. There's just very, very, very average stuff. And I don't have a great solution to it. I think it's obvious at this point that Zach Cowan is one of LSU's best 3 pitchers. And I think he would be better than Chase Shores as LSU's third starter. But I want to have him available in the first 2 games. I want to have him available in the 7th inning of a game to come in and get the last 9 outs. And I'm not willing to compromise that to go put him in the back end of the weekend rotation. I mean, you look at Cowan in SEC play. He's gone 19 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 23 strikeouts, 4 walks. Opponents are hitting 145 against him. That's dominant stuff. Cowan's SEC-only ERA is .47. Like, he's just baffling teams. And so while I would suggest that he's your best option as a third starter, like, that doesn't mean he has to become a weekend starter in SEC play to start a postseason game. I'm good right now keeping him in his bullpen role and going to him the first time you've got a lead. If you have another weekend like this past weekend where you don't win one of the first 2 games and he doesn't pitch, you want to start him instead of Chase Shores, I'm okay with it. And certainly if you got into a regional situation, let's just say Cade Anderson pitched Friday, Anthony Ianson pitched on Saturday. You're coming back on Sunday and you lose a game. Like, Shores would probably pitch that. That's not a good example. The point I'm trying to make is, like, if you had to win a game in Omaha or regional and Shores and Cowan were available, I'm perfectly fine starting Cowan in that game because you have got him stretched out now to the point that he can absolutely go 5 or 6 innings. Absolutely. That's not new to him. Last year, he was a Friday starter. Last year, he threw over 100 innings. His pitch count has been up this year. You've done a good job of maintaining that length. Again, I've told you that I think it makes sense for LSU to try to shorten his outings in an Omaha-like situation out of the bullpen because it allows you to use him more quickly again. But if you get into a spot where you got to win a game and your options are to go with Cowan as a starter and potentially having Shores out of the bullpen and certainly having Case and Evans out of the bullpen available, that's fine too. Like I'm good with him starting. So I wouldn't shake it up right now, but it's something that I think I would think about because Shores is just really fighting it in SEC play to this point. I've seen enough good from Ianson not to panic about Saturday's game this week. If his 2 outfielders help him out with 2 nice catches, his line looks a lot better, and I'm certainly not going to panic about Cade Anderson, even though Mississippi State hit him a little bit and then Auburn hit him a little bit. The start in between those was pretty good, and I feel like he's going to be just fine. He's not Skeens, but he's pretty damn good SEC ace. And so your really only question mark is at the back end. But thankfully, this past weekend, you did see some guys step up out of the bullpen and eat some outs. And that's an important thing, whether Shores figures it out or not, because you're going to have to get outs later in the game on Game 3s when he pitches. The last thing I want to talk about with baseball is third base. I know that a lot of folks are clamoring for Michael Braswell to play a little bit more. No question, Tanner Reeves' defense is an issue. He has kicked the ball more than you would like to this point. Do I have a fielding percentage on Tanner Reeves here? I do. 820. No, that's David Hogg. 821 is the fielding percentage. That's unacceptable. You can't field 821. If you're on the left side of an SEC infield, I'd like you to field 960-ish. He's way below that. As a team, you'd like to field 980. Left side of the infield is going to produce more errors just naturally. So I'll dip you down to 960 or so. Stephen Milam's been phenomenal. He's at 977. So, yeah, that's not good enough. And you might have to consider Braswell every day. But I wouldn't make that change right now because I like the way those guys swing the bat from the proper side of the plate. I like Braswell against lefties. I like Reeves against righties. Those guys have had the success that they have had to this point because they've been put in a position to succeed. That's the beauty of the platoon. And you look at SEC play, Tanner Reeves is hitting 294. Michael Braswell is hitting 308. Like, I don't know if those guys would have a batting average that high if they were facing same-sided pitchers more often than they currently do. They've done it a little bit, but not a lot. That may be something we can look at, but I like the fact that those guys are swinging the bat really well. If Reeves continues to kick the ball around, we'll change the discussion. More information, differing of opinion, that can happen. But I'm okay with the platoon right now with an understanding that you may have to make a shift. So to look at those 2 spots on the field, okay, I want to keep Shores in the 3rd spot and Cowan out of the bullpen right now, but let's put a bookmark next to this if we need to make a change. I want to keep the platoon at 3rd base with Reeves and Braswell right now. Put a bookmark on it. Reeves kicks another ball this weekend. We'll talk about it. But that's kind of where I am right now. LSU and McNeese go at it tomorrow at the box, 6:30 first pitch on a Tuesday night as the Pokes come to town. They're having a good year under Justin Hill, former Tiger, as their head coach. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. You can do business with the big, huge box store, but you're just going to be a line item. If you call them, you might get a recorded line in Atlanta or San Francisco or something. You can do business with the mom and pop shop, but do they have the capabilities to handle your needs? You're going to get a warm response. You'll get good customer service. Do they have the resources available? Well, why don't you just split the difference? Go with Gulf Coast Office Products. They've got that local feel. They've got a phenomenal local team. They can help you out anywhere here in the state of Louisiana, and they've got the resources to best service your needs. For all your printing, scanning, copying needs, it's Gulf Coast Office Products. You can find them online, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. They bring you our Monday shows. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. You're going to feel like a guest at Genesis of Baton Rouge, not a customer. It's just part of the experience. And that buying experience can start at GenesisofBatonRouge.com, and it doesn't have to take you to the dealership. You can request a remote test drive, meaning one of their brand ambassadors gets behind the wheel, comes to you at your office, at your home, and y'all take a spin. If you decide, yeah, this is what I want, great. They can do e-contracts, digital delivery. You never set foot on the lot. I'd prefer it if you set foot on the lot because it's a phenomenal facility and a great staff, and you can get a feel for everything that they've got right in front of you. It's at Airline in Piku, across from Women's Hospital. Go check it out. But if you don't like your experiences in the past at a car dealership and you're looking for a little bit of a different buying experience, Genesis can help you out with that. Genesis of Baton Rouge, you can find them online, GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
The Verve.
Okay.
Bittersweet Symphony. Not to be confused with the Verve Pipe.
No.
Who sings Freshman.
Freshman, yes. I'm actually, okay. I saw you over there about to say it, and I was like, there's no way he gets this one. So I'm like,
me and my buddy
impressed.
Scott Salvell listened to Bittersweet Symphony 953 times in a row on the way from Shreveport to Dallas before we went to Six Flags one year.
That's an acceptable amount of times to listen to it.
It was rocking.
It's a great song.
We did a
incredible
we
vibes.
got to film a commercial in 5th grade, and we put this song on.
Was the old man in the commercial the Six Flags old man?
No. This is a school project completely separate of the Six Flags trip. We just had to do a commercial, and we did it for pins, and we did Bittersweet Symphony. Just weird stuff that I remember from childhood.
Yeah.
Great song.
Amazing song.
All right. Big show tomorrow. We'll have Glenn West talking Tigers. We'll talk LSU football from Saturday. Glenn was sitting right next to me for the whole scrimmage, and then we'll certainly talk some LSU baseball with him as well. Sharif Ishak will jump aboard. Big news from the Pelicans today. We'll get into that here and take it or leave it, but talk to Sharif about that as well as the Derek Carr situation. So lots to do on tomorrow's show. Very much looking forward to it. Our Monday shows brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. Let's finish things up here with a little take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right. That's like my first time hearing that, and that's really different than what it was last time. Take it or leave it. Rory McIlroy will win another Masters.
I'm going to take it. I think he does win another Masters. This is going to be the most freeing thing for him. He now no longer really has to play any round of golf with the immense pressure like he did yesterday. He can just go play, and he's still got plenty of game to go out there and do it. He is 35, so he can't play forever, but he has withstood the test of time longer than anybody in this generation. You've had these incredible thunderbolts like Brooks Koepka had and like Jordan Spieth had, and you've had some of that, but those guys have faded off, and Rory really has not done that. So I think he will probably win another major, win another Masters. There's a real chance he wins another major this year. He's that good. The courses suit him that well. Quail Hollow's next, where he can have a great go, but he's already won there 4 times as a pro. So, I think he will win another green jacket.
All right, the Pelicans fired David Griffin and are reportedly hiring Joe Dumars to run basketball operations. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Leave it alone.
Dumars hasn't worked in this capacity in a decade. He's been working with the NBA, but he hasn't been in an organization. He had a good run with the Pistons. He is a Louisiana guy, obviously. David Griffin was a huge get when the Pelicans hired him, and I don't know that he did a terrible job. Like, look at some of the draft picks that they have hit on. You've got some really good players that he's found that were not in the lottery. Trey Murphy's been a really good find. East Missy had a really good rookie year. Dyson Daniels is a really good player. Like, he's done some good things. They just couldn't keep the stars on the floor. And when your stars aren't in the floor in that league, like, you have no chance. That league is built on stars, and the Pelican stars stay in the training room and not on the floor. So, tough go for David Griffin. I'm not over the moon about the Joe Dumars hire, but we'll see. That franchise has just kind of been rudderless for a long time. We'll see if they can figure something out.
Speaking of league stars, Aaron Judge is going to be the captain of Team USA for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it. That's great. That's fantastic. He's among the best players in baseball, maybe the second best player to Ohtani in baseball. The World Baseball Classic found a little bit of traction last year, and you finished with that incredible ending that had Shohei Ohtani pitching against Mike Trout with the World Baseball Classic final on the line. Had some drama, walk-off home run by Team USA earlier in the tournament. So I thought it was pretty good. I'm not going to set my watch by the World Baseball Classic. If it's on, I'll probably watch some of it. But to have Aaron Judge play in it is absolutely a positive. So that's a good thing for Team USA to have him. He's good at baseball.
Last one, Patrick Peterson announced his retirement from football today. Pat Pete is a Hall of Famer. Take it or leave it.
I don't have a great feel for this one. I saw his statistics. He was a 3-time first-team All-Pro and an 8-time Pro Bowler. That feels like it's borderline to me. Of course, we around here know Patrick Peterson so well because he was a huge recruit when he was Patrick Johnson at the time and a 5-star, and he came in and was immediately an impact guy at LSU and was a great player through his time from 2008 through 2010 in Baton Rouge, became a super high pick. But he plays cornerback. I just don't know if he's a guy that was roundly known by your average NFL fan. I certainly hope he's a Hall of Famer because he's a great dude and a heck of a player and a great ambassador for LSU. It's good enough to give us a little bit of time. Went after further review with Matt and T-Bob before the Super Bowl, so that was really cool. I hope he's a Hall of Famer. That'd be great for LSU to add to that list. You're looking at a few guys that could be knocking on that door here over the next 20 years. So I would love it if Pat Pete could make it. I'm going to take it. I think he's got a chance to get in. It's good, I think, and I don't know anything about this, but apparently he kind of had a riff with the Cardinals on the way out with their general manager and like demanded a trade and then walked it back and ended up not re-signing and going to Minnesota and then ultimately to Pittsburgh. He didn't play this past season, but today he did retire as a Cardinal and went back to Arizona and signed that deal and I think has mended those fences, so that's good. I can't pretend to care at all about the Arizona Cardinals, but it's a good thing if they've mended fences, so that's good for Pat Pete, and hopefully one day he does get a gold jacket. That would be awesome. All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Monday. Busy show. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound, whether that's 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever you find it, you can find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Always appreciate it if you like, subscribe, rate, and review. Open the show on a somber note. Obviously, tragic loss of Kairen Lacy over the weekend. That was the lead of the show. Then we moved into some LSU baseball, talked about their offense, and talked a little bit about the defense and their resume at this point as we hit the halfway point of SEC play. If you want to catch that, you certainly can on demand. Gave my spring football practice thoughts at the end of hour number 1. Led there with LSU's defensive ends, which I thought played great. Also liked the creativity in the running game. So you can check that out at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your sound. All LSU football all the time. At 2 o'clock, I detail what I believe to be the greatest golf tournament I've ever watched, the 2025 Masters. Derek Carr's injury, what does it mean for the Saints? Could it potentially be a good thing? Not for Derek Carr, but maybe for the Saints. Talked about that at 2:15. A little baseball with pitching and defense at 2:30, so go check all that out. Looking forward to tomorrow's show, but we're done for today. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. That'll be a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.